It's a pleasure for me to introduce you Mr. Bhagirath Joshi, a multi-talented man, a physicist, a multi-millionaire, a businessman in town who owns a group of hotels, motels, and produces movies. That movie recently made to Oscar, and he is a very talented person. He came to this country in 1975 to do his masters in Boston College. Then he moved to University of Loyal in Boston to do his PhD. Then meantime he also got his master's in computer science. Then he became a consultant to the IT industry for a long time. I heard he came to this town very few years ago, and within the short period of time he built so many motels starting from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. And meantime he has also an establishment back home to do Indian movies. So at the end of this presentation, he is going to show you 2 minutes a trailer, just if you have time. And the current talk is for physics or for any science majors. The title of the talk here is Excess Neutron Shell Model of Nuclei. This is his research. He does it out of passion, not for making money. And he produces on an average couple of papers in international journals, including the journal Nature. That he is doing this is a theoretical physicist. So he is going to join with our distinguished scholars like Fazli or Bagayoko to do some work on nuclear physics. And so Mr. Joshi, the people that you have is our team of students. They are Timbuktu Academy scholars or LAM scholars. They are really the top-notch African-American science, engineering, technology, and mathematics majors, and your presentation will do good for them. So you can go ahead.
So here we are. Excess neutron shell model of nuclei. Just briefly, you can see that I have put a picture here. The red color, which basically charged particles, empty space, and then neutron shell. So we will talk about this. The way this thing came about is I'll make interesting. Let's hope it is. If it is not, let me know. This is the periodic table. Everybody knows. Now, nuclear physics, we said there's a strong force which holds everything together. So we say yes, strong force is there. So if the strong force is really, really strong, then we should have elements with no neutrons in it. So the whole search here is what is the role of neutron in element building. And that is what we are looking for. Neutron is a neutral particle which stays as neutron inside the nuclei. But as soon as it out of nuclei, in free space, in 15 minutes, it will disintegrate. And it will disintegrate into hydrogen. Electron, hydrogen, and a little neutrino. So, what is happening with this neutron thing that is so important? Because except for hydrogen, there is not a single element which does not have neutron. So it's like puzzling that if neutrons are needed to build the element, and we are talking about strong force, and we are eliminating other forces because neutrons must be creating some sort of force which is holding the element together. And that is my research here. That what is it doing? And if you look at all the elements, I don't know if you can read or not, but we don't have 1,000 elements here. Very limited number of elements. You see, considering all the probability of uniting all these together, we don't have any element with 1,000 protons. We don't have any element, hydrogen element with 100 neutrons. So what is that is affecting all these things? And that is what we are trying to say. We have only 81 stable elements, and some of the elements like technetium, which is with a proton count of 43. Okay. Proton count of 43. There you go. This Tz, which is here technetium, 43, which is relatively very small number of protons, and it is unstable like uranium. And uranium is actually available in nature because it has a long half-life, but technetium is only produced in the nuclear reactors. The same thing is with Pm, which is 61 protons. You cannot find anything, only thing it is produced as a nuclear waste byproducts. So we have these two puzzling things, that even with all these neutrons and all the possible combinations, why we don't see this in nature? And then also we have only 81 stable elements. The remaining, that is, they are all radioactive, unstable. When they are unstable, similarly, also with the introduction of extra neutrons or less neutrons, or taking out of neutrons, stable elements also can be made unstable and they become radioactive. So that is another puzzling, that what is happening here. And this is the thing that I said, that you don't have, if the neutrons are really neutral, then we should be able to have all the neutrons lumping together and from giving us a hydrogen with a very heavy hydrogen, but we don't have it. Maximum we have 2 and very rare is 3. The mass of the hydrogen. So there we are, that is the puzzle that I'm putting forward. So we can, as we journey down the path, we should be able to see. So there you go. This is, just to reiterate what is happening. So now we have an issue big issue with the stability. And if you look at the periodic table, okay, for stability, the number of neutrons are always greater than the protons. And that is all greater than B equal to the number of protons, where greater than helium, because helium is slightly funny, okay, because it can have 1 neutron and it can have 2 neutrons. It cannot have 3 neutrons. That's another problem. You can find one something like that, but that there is a problem. There's also another issues where we don't even have an element where neutron-proton combination of 5. You see? So that's another issue. So what I have found, that all the odd Z means proton, 1, 3, 5, 7, like those have only one stable isotope in most cases, 85% of the cases. When you have a even count, that means 80 to 80, like that, they have up to 6 stable isotopes. But for that, the proton count has to exceed beyond 20 to get 6. Up to 20, you have 2, 3, something like that. So that is another thing to think about, that why it's happening like that in nature. That nature is preferring only certain states. It's not preferring everything that is available. Now, this is the question that I already I'm repeating. So what happens here now? Neutrons, they are inside the nuclei. We call them neutral. They are not really neutral. They don't look neutral because they all want to stay separate. If they were all neutrons, it's like, if you take a mud, small mud, and you put another mud on the top of it, and you have a bigger mud, right? It's not like that. They all want to stay separate. They all want to show their, identity, and keeps their distinct identity within the nucleus. So that's also puzzling. That shows that they are not really neutral, but they are behaving in some different fashion. So that is another question which we will answer, that what gives them, separate identity. Now nature, prefers the stability. You don't know about that. They like the stable system, and that is why we have 81 of those stable systems available to us. Those are the different elements. Now, when the element is stable, that means you will find it in the nature, and it will be in abundance. Now, so that is what we are looking at. So now when I say now we are going to look at the stability, we are going to analyze a single element and look at its all different isotopes and see which one is the most stable. The most stable one is the one which is abundant in nature. And so stability goes hand in hand with the abundance. Excuse me, sorry. So the stability and abundance is hand in hand. So if it is a more abundant, that means it's more stable, and more stable means it is found in the nature, right? And that is the preferred state of the nature. The nature prefers that particular state. So the arrangement of neutrons, protons, and electrons are preferred by the nature. So that is where we are going. So now the other issue is that elements have many isotopes, but they are not unlimited. You cannot make unlimited isotopes. You see, there is a limit to it. You can have 20, 30, after that you don't have any more, or 50. So there is a limit, and they are and isotopes. When we look at it, the isotopes are created. If everybody, since this is undergrad and everybody is there, so I'll tell you the way they make isotopes is you take the element and you change the number of neutrons in it. So the chemical characteristics remains the same, okay? But the weight and the other physical characteristics changes with that. So that is what is called isotope. So if the element has, say, 20 neutrons, you can have the same element with 19, 16, 17, like that. And you can also have 21, 22, 23, and these are called isotopes because the chemical property is the same. Element is called the same because element is identified by the proton and not by the neutrons counts. So that is where, because it's the chemical characteristics that we are talking about.